you actually bend quite sharply at the waist. When you twist your hips side to side, it actually bends very softly up through into the spinal column. We're going to soften this effect a little bit now by making sure that this next bone in the spine actually rotates a little bit with this one, but only through the x-axis. A constraint system won't work very well for us here because constraints work on an XYZ value and can't have a constraint on a single axis. We're going to use wire parameters for this. To make this work, we need to add another controller to our list for this bone, so that if we take a look in the motion panel, we can see that in the rotation a list controller was built with the orientation constraint added. We need to wire one more layer of controllers back into our control object. So I'm going to go and add in the available slot for this bone a Euler XYZ controller. We don't need to make it active. You can if you want. It won't help. It'll still work if it isn't active. So now we have a new layer. Let's name it, and let's name it wire X, so that we know what that controller was added there for. With the bone selected, I'm going to right click, and in my quad menus I'm going to pick wire parameters. This is now asking which track would I like to wire to something. So transform rotation. There's the first controller in the list, the orientation constraint we added. There's the wire X, and we want the X rotation. Now it's asking what do you want to wire to. So I want to wire to the control object, the transform rotation, and we froze the rotation or zeroed out the rotations earlier on the control objects. So this is where this comes into play. We know that the wire X value is a value of 0 because it's additive in the list controller on the bone. We also happen to know that the second controller in the control object has a value of 0 as well because it was additive. The first controller holds any offset. The second one will be 0. So we know we're not going to get a sudden pop in the position of rotation of the bone. So I want to pick X rotation, and that brings up the wire parameters dialog. Here's the bone, here's the control object. We want the control object to control the bone, so we pick a flow of right to left. Let's just press connect. The expression has already been written in there for us. And let's see what we've got so far. So let's rotate this around the X value. You'll notice that the bone is actually rotating in the opposite direction that we want it to. Fix that very easily by sticking a negative sign in front of X rotation and pressing update. And it now rotates in the right direction, but it rotates 100%. And we want to twist off, so we need this to rotate half of what it is here. That's easy again. Times 0.5. An update. You'll now notice that that bone only rotates 50% of the control object. You now have a really nice setup for animating with. You can get a nice soft twist in the body as the hips rock side to side as you're walking. You can rock your hips forward and backwards as well. You can get nice twists through the body, so you can adjust the waist area without affecting the eye line of the shoulders or the head. You can then adjust the shoulders without affecting the eye line or the waist, and you can affect the head itself. Posing this character becomes quite easy now for an animator, because they can put the head where they need it and then get the attitude of the shoulders the way they need it.